Get the vibes going this morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BW Radio, the number one Syracuse Sports Radio, right here on YouTube. So happy to be back with you folks once again. I'm your host, Brandon Nutting. Folks, we are in for a fun show today. And the reason that I say that is because we have a lot to talk about today in the world of sports. Not only do we have to talk about some national champions getting crowned, some drama that happened over the weekend when it came to those national championship games, including some semifinal matchups. North Carolina gets crowned a new head coach. Not only that, we're going to check in on the NBA playoff picture. And, of course, some shocking trades that happened in the WNBA, including one loudmouth getting traded. Not only that, but folks, we also have to talk about the NFL draft today. We have to talk about WrestleMania. We have to talk about so much stuff on today's show that it's going to be very exciting. This segment of BW Radio is brought to you guys by our friends at Itasha Coffee Company. Folks, Itasha Coffee Company is, of course, the premier sponsorship here on the BW Radio Network. If you guys want to check out Itasha Coffee for yourself, check them out at itashacoffee.com and check out their newest flavor, which is Holy Sheep Chat. Which of course is by the VTubing manager and a special collab there. You guys can check them out at itashacoffee.com or check them out at Itasha Coffee on X. So I want to talk about this morning because this morning is honestly very chock full of news, and obviously everyone's getting ready for coverage beginning today on the Masters as well. But just so much to talk about in terms of sports, with an insane amount of brawls that happened yesterday when it came to MLB. We'll talk about that too, don't you worry about that. I did want to let people know that something awesome has happened for the show today. I figured it'd be fun to test some new equipment that we got. And of course, one of the new equipment is this. Yes, we were able to figure out our soundboard. The soundboard is officially back with, of course, some of the classic noises, such as the wrong buzzer button, the Pac-Man death. Let's see, what else do we got? We have the loser game show sound. So don't worry, we're going to be using those throughout the show today. So this should be very fun. Very fun to have the soundboard back. But let's talk sports now. And usually we start with Syracuse Sports. However, nothing much has happened on that end other than a couple of assistants getting hired by Gerry McNamara, hiring some of his assistants and getting a transfer from Siena to join him, which was the leading scorer in Siena. Instead, I want to talk about the national championships in both the men's and women's national championship. I want to start first with the men's in what was a dominant showing by the Michigan Wolverines to win the national championship over the UConn Huskies in a 69-63 ball game. All I can say is what a dominant performance by Michigan. They didn't allow UConn to have one moment where they were leading. Trey McKinney, of course, he nails the three-pointer that would officially end the game, holding off a UConn rally in the second half. The score at halftime was 33-29. You wouldn't think it's that large of a deficit, but to be honest with you, this game was very, very interesting. A lot of back and forth. But Michigan definitely put off a dominant showing here. You got to tip your hat to UConn, though. UConn came into this with a lot of momentum. UConn came in with just so much momentum. Everyone thought that UConn was going to be the team that would upset Michigan, considering the fact that UConn was able to pull off one of the biggest upsets in the tournament by getting rid of the heavily favored Duke. But you got to give credit to this Michigan team. They've been dominant all season, and I say that with the utmost sincerity, considering the fact that even though they didn't find their mark from behind the three-point arc, they were They were nailing their three throws perfectly. They only missed three free throws. They weren't turning the ball over. They were just having a dominant performance out there against this UConn team that was, for the most part, fighting back to kind of try to be in this ball game. I gotta say, in all fairness to Michigan here, they have themselves a great team over there, and it didn't shock me that they were going to win the championship, considering the fact that we picked Michigan to win the national championship on our official tournament bracket. Um, it didn't. I had a feeling that Michigan was going to win the national championship just based off what I seen them do all season to opponents, which was just attack the paint, uh, prove their dominance from behind the arc, play intense defense. I mean, it was just incredible watching Michigan do what they did. Um, you know, as much as we want to tip our cap to the rest of the Final Four, uh, it was definitely an impressive showing by the Michigan Wolverines to win the national championship. And you guys can say whatever you want. You guys can say that Michigan didn't deserve to be there, Arizona did, or whatever. But let's be for real. Michigan came to play basketball. When they showed up, they took down a tough UConn team that everyone said that UConn, they've been undefeated in this match and in this game before, and guess what happened? They suffered their first loss. And like I said, you got to give credit to UConn. They definitely had an impressive showing, but Michigan was the better team that night. You could say it in any way, shape, or form you want, but Michigan was the better team. Especially when it came to the paint, because it just seemed like they were controlling the paint like there was no tomorrow. Uh, UConn, on the other hand, even though that they were hitting a few 3-pointers, they just couldn't find a way to rebound. It just seemed like the rebounding category was in favor of Michigan. When you watch the game, I mean, obviously, if you look at the official stats, UConn had 46, Michigan had 39, but still, you look at the percentage wise, and you just saw that Michigan was the better team that night. I mean, they looked unstoppable. Um, but of course, that's not the only national title game. So congratulations to the Michigan Wolverines on winning the men's national championship. I want to talk about the women's national championship because of everything that happened with this weekend when it came to the women's national championship picture, especially with what happened in the semifinal matchups. If you guys are not fans of women's college basketball and you guys didn't watch it, first off, shame on you. All I can say is that you guys deserve this noise. So shame on you. Um, or better yet, I'll just hit you guys with this. Well, hold on. Save the booze. Save the booze here for a minute, because I want those boos saved for one person when we talk about him. But let's talk about the national championship picture first. It was between South Carolina and UCLA. UCLA winning its first NCAA national title by getting a 79-51 victory over South Carolina. And all I can say is UCLA ran away with this game, like, even before halftime even started. Oh, don't worry, don't worry, we're saving the noises for Reese too. Don't even worry, we'll talk about her in a little bit. Um, but it just seemed like as soon as the second half started, it just seemed like South Carolina was just out of it. They were down by 18 at half. I mean, by the time the third quarter really tipped off, they were down big, and UCLA just kept their foot on their throats and was just like, "Hey, we want to win this championship. You're not going to get in our way." And Gabriella there, I'm going to butcher her last name, but Jaquez? If I butchered her name, I'm sorry, but we have a tendency to do that here on BWNA where we butcher names. But Gabriella, I mean, she went incredible. 21 points, 5 assists. She went 3 of 3 from the free throw line. Betts, of course, she had 11 rebounds. I mean, she was pretty dominant too, number 51 out there for UCLA. I mean, UCLA just ran this game like there was no tomorrow. It seemed like South Carolina didn't have a response. Hackett. Okay. All right. Yep. Thank you for the correction. Like I said, we have a tendency to mess up names here a lot, so don't be shocked. But yeah, no, UCLA. I mean, they were great on all ends of the court. I mean, they were dominant on not only the defensive end, but of course on the offensive end as well. I mean, it was just incredible to see. You know, Jamie was in attendance. Oh yeah, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, but they were winning in almost every single category, not only from free throws, but of course they were winning in not only field goal percentage, 3-point percentage. They were the only thing they lost in was the turnover game, but it was only by one. But I mean, they were dominant. They got 49 rebounds compared to South Carolina's 37. Like I said, they led most of this game. Their largest lead was 35 points. So, I the only thing that shocked me, right, was I'm surprised how Tessa Johnson out of South Carolina didn't have a more impressive game, even though she finished with 14 points. It did kind of shock me because I was also expecting Josie Edwards to step up too, but she didn't really fill in that role as much as I thought that she was going to. But UCLA, man, I mean, congrats on winning your first national championship. I just wished it wasn't crowded by what happened in the semifinal games because that's where some controversy unfortunately has started. And I'm going to yell at the head coach here for UConn, a man who has been a staple of UConn's dominance for years. Head coach Gino, me and him need to have some words. What do the fans think of Gino right now? Yeah, I agree. So here's what happened. South Carolina and UConn met in a semifinal matchup to determine who's going to the women's national championship game. Before the game even started, before the game even started, coaches usually meet at the table, they shake hands, they wish each other good luck, and then they go and they start, you know, getting their teams ready to start the game. Now, according to what we've seen, the two met in the middle, they shook hands, and then they went to their benches. Then, during the game, it got a little chippy. We noticed that we noticed that why am I forgetting her name? Hold on. We noticed that one of the UConn players was upset during the game to the point where she tore her own jersey. Um, and when I say torn, I mean she literally was on the sideline and she ripped her damn jersey. Um, like ripped it like right down the middle to the point where she had to get a new jersey. It was See, this problem is when was it Sarah Strong? It was probably Sarah Strong. It wasn't. No, who the hell was it? There was another play. What was her name? It's not Fudd. I know Fudd. It wasn't Fudd. It was Yeah, it was Sarah Strong, wasn't it? Yeah. So Sarah pretty much went to the sidelines. She ripped her jersey down the middle to the point where she had to get it replaced during the game. Now, here's where things got interesting. The game ends. Gino and Dawn Staley meet in the middle. At the end, the two go to shake hands. Gino and Staley get into a heated talk to the point where Gino got right in her face Staley sent some stuff back, and the two were separated. Now, we go to the press conference after. This is where shit gets interesting. We go to UConn's press conference after. This fucking guy. Okay, and I'm using the term lightly when I say this fucking guy. He's delusional. And I'm going to play you his exact reason via from ESPN.com that actually has what he said in the press conference afterwards. So we're going to pause that for a minute. All right. Here is what happened at the end. Here's the press conference. Here's pretty much what he said it all came down to. Ready? Here we go.
For 41 years, I've been coaching and I've been, 25 Final Fours. And the protocol is before the game, you meet at half court. Anybody ever see that before? Two coaches meet at half court and they shake hands. Correct? You ever see it? They announce it on the loudspeaker. And I waited there for like 3 minutes.
So okay, pause it right there. Okay. So that whole gripe at the end, you were bitching about not getting a handshake for 3 minutes? I want to point something out that these two have the utmost respect for each other, right? Like, the utmost respect for one another. These two known each other. They have a history with one another. And that was his major gripe? Was they didn't shake hands for 3 minutes? Okay, hold on. Let's continue, because I want to hear more of this. There's still like 1:07, and I want to hear the rest of it.
It is what it is.
You said what you had to say. What did you say specifically?
Why would I say it? I said what I said. And obviously she didn't like it. I just told the truth.
You talked about the handshake. There's pictures of you guys in videos, pregame handshake. Was your frustration that it took a while for her to get over there? Or was this a separate instance pregame versus the one that was on social media?
No, I think you missed the point of what I'm talking about. So I'd rather not go into it. Anybody that's been in the NCAA tournament, you know what I'm talking about.
Okay. So again, and I'm trying to play devil's advocate here, but it's very hard when it comes to this fucking guy. Okay. So let me just start off by saying this. If you guys didn't watch the heated stuff, go watch it. Trust me, you'll see why he gets pissed off. But here's the thing. He says that the handshake took that long to get. Number one, you got the handshake, motherfucker. It shouldn't matter how long it takes. It just matters if you do it. I would understand if Dawn Staley didn't come over and shake your hand, considering the two of you have the utmost respect for one another and there's a history there. That I would understand. But you two shook hands. Shouldn't you just be happy that you got the fucking handshake in the first place? Am I insane here? So hold on, that take deserves this sound. That's number one. Number two, motherfucker, you complain after every fucking game when you're losing. This guy, one of the most respectable head coaches in college basketball history, considering the fact that he turned UConn into a powerhouse in women's basketball, finds a reason to complain every fucking time his team loses. He finds an excuse. I can never find a clean video audio of when he's like, yeah, I have the utmost respect for the team that I lost to, and it was a good game. No, it's like, well, the officials fucked us. Or it's, oh, my team played like crap. It's not my fault. Gino, you're driving me nuts. And the worst part is that wasn't the worst part. Social media tore him a new asshole. Social media tore him a new asshole, saying, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This fucking guy is disrespecting another head coach because he lost? Well, here's where it gets good. He then issued an apology days later. Issues an apology the next day, which I couldn't believe. He issued the statement saying that he has nothing but great respect for Dawn Staley and says that her and her team. Here's pretty much what it says here. Where is this statement here? I need to read this. This is what it says here. This is the statement that was released by him. This morning, Dawn Staley and I spoke about our interaction after the last game Friday. I issued an apology to Dawn, her staff, and her team. I've lost more games in the Final Four than any coach in history, but Friday I lost something more important. I lost myself. Those who know me know I have nothing but respect and admiration for the game and the coaches who coach it. Dawn and her team deserve to win, and they deserve better from me. Women's basketball deserves better, is what he says. My statement, my university, my athletes, my former players, and our fans deserve better. Dawn and I have agreed to move on, and we hope the focus will shift back to the growth of women's basketball. The game deserves it. Now that I can agree with. Women's basketball does deserve more attention because I'm not gonna lie, women's basketball is a lot more entertaining than what I've seen in the men's side. But Gino, my friend, I, allow me to be devil's advocate here and just say, you could take this apology and shove it up your ass because you're gonna be known as the sore loser head coach who got in someone's face because they didn't shake your hand. Now, Gino, again, I'm trying to be a nice guy here when I say this. I have the utmost respect for you in terms of coaching because you, like I said, you brought a lot of attention to women's basketball and that's deserved. But, dude, you are the biggest loser I've ever seen. You are the biggest sore loser I've ever seen. I get it. You want to go undefeated. You want your team to win the national championship. You've been throttling opponents all season. You made an example of teams in the tournament saying no one should mess with UConn. But, dude, give me a fucking break when I say this. I have no respect for you after you got in a coach that you say you're best friends with and you completely. I have no respect for you. I've lost all respect for you as a head coach and as a human being. As far as I'm concerned, I want UConn to get rid of you. But I know they're not gonna. They won't get rid of you until you're actually gone. I think it's ridiculous at the fact that you sit there and you say, "Oh, me and Dawn are good friends," and then proceed to get in her face, yell at her because she didn't shake your hand for 3 fucking minutes. Which is a dumb excuse. I wouldn't care if someone shook my hand in 3 minutes. I wouldn't care about that. I would only care is if me and my opposing head coach just shook hands in general. I wouldn't have cared. If we just shook hands in the middle, all right, we have respect for one another. Let's go to our sidelines. Let's coach. Let's see who comes out the better. Dawn Staley came out as the better head coach that night that UConn lost. She deserved the utmost respect. And what did you do? You got in her face screaming at her because not only did her team whip your team's ass, 62-48, I want to add, but then you proceed to blame it all on a handshake. Gino, you're not doing so hot here, my friend. I can't show respect to a human being who doesn't show another human being respect. And even though he's issued his apology, his public apology on Twitter, which honestly feels forced at this point, and I know that Dawn, being the professional that she is, said, I just want to focus on the game, but you could tell that hurt her. You could tell that hurt her. These two known each other for years, met numerous times. I think it's ridiculous. That's worse than Mike McKellar blaming Arsenal losing due to the length of, yeah, it's ridiculous. And listen, like I said, I have the utmost respect for when it comes to coaches, especially when it comes to Dawn Staley. I have so much respect for her, it's not even funny. It doesn't matter if her team lost a national championship, I still show respect to her. You, I thought, showed respect to her there, Gino, but apparently you proved us wrong once again by being a piece of shit head coach that you've always been, and that I've always assumed you would be. You're proving why everyone hates UConn, once again, when it comes to women's basketball. And listen, I'll admit it, he built himself a championship team this year. I'm surprised how they did lose to South Carolina. I'm not gonna lie, with the way that they were steamrolling opponents, I thought it was a WNBA team out there. Completely just steamrolling through opponents. But clearly I was wrong. Because when a better team came out of nowhere and beat you and eliminated you from the tournament, including what you were going to say was your biggest run in the national championship, you proceed to blame everyone else except yourself and then issue an apology later on. So, yeah, Gino, you're not getting any sympathy from me. If I was Dawn, I would have told you to take that apology, shove it up your ass, and just completely fuck off. But again, you guys have a level of respect between one another, and that's different than what I have for you, which is I want you to just fuck off in general. I'm not gonna lie, if you guys saw the social media spans after that, it was like, fire this guy, like, he does not represent UConn basketball. We all respect that South Carolina was the better team. Like, this is ridiculous. 3-minute handshake, that's bullshit. And you wanna know what's bad? It's bad when me and one other guy can agree with one another, especially when we agree with each other on this statement. And I'm not even kidding when I say this. But me and Stephen A. Smith happen to agree with each other. And I'm not kidding when I say this. The fact that me and Stephen A. Smith agree on something is ridiculous. We never agree. Me and Stephen A., we never agree. This is from First Take. Stephen A. Smith's take on this. And I want you to hear this. This is via ESPN First Take. This is what Stephen A. Smith had to say about the whole thing.
I accept it. We all accept it. He doesn't owe us an apology. He doesn't even owe South Carolina an apology. He owes Dawn Staley an apology. What the hell is up with a statement, an apology, and you don't mention her name once? You didn't go up to the staff of South Carolina. You didn't go up to the University of North Carolina. You went in the face of Dawn Staley. That is who you addressed publicly. That's who you tried to undress publicly. Post-game, when you was talking about it, you didn't talk about what you said about Carolina. You talked about what you said about her.
All right, I'm not going to go any further in fear of copyright, but you guys understand. Again, First Take, ESPN, you guys can watch it there, especially with their copyright. But the point I'm getting at, right, is Gino is such an old head coach in terms of this fucking guy needs some kind of punishment here. And I don't care if it's by the university, NCAA, South Carolina. I really don't give a fuck. I think, and you want to, I've seen those reports where everyone was like, oh, there's a great punishment coming his way. And my response to that is there's already a punishment. He lost to South Carolina by, let's see, 62 minus 48. Yeah, he lost by a lot. He lost by 14 points in what was supposed to be his greatest run as a head coach. So once again, we'll happily give this sound to you once again, Gino, and we'll say better luck next season. Okay, so we have one more piece of college basketball news to talk about before we go to break, and that is the North Carolina men's basketball team officially has a new head coach, and it is a man that is known as a head coach and a well-respected head coach. Michael Malone, former Denver Nuggets head coach, made it official Tuesday that he is the new head coach. But not only that, he is the highest paid coach with a $50 million deal from South Carolina that will span across 6 years, according to ESPN, who got a copy of his contract. Malone, whose daughter plays volleyball at North Carolina, was recommended by a search committee led by Executive Associate Athletic Director Steve Newmark and Director of Athletics Bubba Cunningham. The school said in its statement. Hold on. I gotta stop this read here for a minute. Their athletic director's name is Bubba. Their athletic director's name is Bubba. Oh, I've missed the soundboard. Their athletic director's name is Bubba. If that ain't the most North Carolina shit I've ever heard in my life. Anyway, I got, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah, I know. Sorry. That's like the one noise that I can't control, unfortunately. It's that screaming cat. I don't know why. That's like the one soundboard noise I gotta get rid of when I get a chance. But anyway, his name is Bubba. Jesus Christ. Anyway, the university's board of trustees approved the terms for the hire on Tuesday. Malone, of course, has a huge resume when it comes to being a coach. He was the head coach of the Denver Nuggets for 10 years, going 471 for 327 in his time. He coached 904 games in the NBA as a head coach, including 2 seasons with the Sacramento Kings. Not only that, but wasn't Malone. Yep, Malone is an NBA champion for his time with the Nuggets, winning where he won 510 games in 12 seasons as a head coach. He even spent the past 10 months as an ESPN analyst. He will inherit the Tar Heels team that has been seeking a head coach replacement for nearly 2 weeks since firing Herbert Davis. I was wondering, that's what threw me off guard here for a minute. I was like, wait a minute, isn't Michael Malone the head coach that brought the Nuggets their first championship, and yet he's not I mean, that's insane. Anyway, no, I'm surprised he's not in the NBA again as a head coach. Guy wins an NBA title. Didn't he get fired during? Hold on, wait a minute, hold on. I need to know more about Michael Malone here. Didn't he get fired the season after he won the championship? Am I insane here? Didn't his team win the championship? And then he got fired? They fired him before playoffs last year out of nowhere. Yeah. It was the most questionable firing of all time. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, it was one of the most questionable firings of all time. So, look, anyway, to speak on Malone here for a minute, he got offered a $50 million deal across 6 years. I think this was a smart hire by North Carolina, hiring a guy with so much experience and, of course, a knowledge of the game. Not only that, but to have an NBA title on your resume also looks good when hiring someone for a head coach. Now, what do I have to say about Herbert Davis? Listen, Herbert Davis is a great guy. I think that he was a good coach for North Carolina for a while, but when it resulted in his team not coming home with titles, I think with the way that that school is a blue blood that hasn't brought home titles in a while, especially under Herbert Davis, I think that North Carolina needed to make a change quickly and they were looking for the best available options. And of course, they went with a guy who not only has an NBA title under his name, but the fact that he has a very impressive record as a head coach. Um, I think offering him 50 million was a bit out there, in my opinion. That's just me. I don't know about giving someone $50 million without seeing what he can do with your team first. I think that they went a little overboard there. But then again, it's North Carolina. It doesn't shock me that they were doing that. Davis was fired by North Carolina 5 days after the Tar Heels squandered a 19-point lead in their first round NCAA tournament loss to the 11th seed VCU, which, I mean, no offense, when you take an 11-point loss to VCU, you kind of, or better yet, when you erase a 19-point deficit and you lose to an 11th seed, I mean, but again, I'm not going to question Michael Malone here. I think that he's a talented head coach. I'm pretty sure he could turn that North Carolina team around. But like I said, offering someone that amount of money without knowing what he brings to the table first, I would have given him a lower contract, waiting to see what he would have done, then given him the 50 million. But then again, coaches and players these days want money just handed to them, so it doesn't surprise me that he was able to get a $50 million deal out of North Carolina, considering the fact that North Carolina is also the same place that hired Bill Belichick as their freaking football coach. Watch, I'll get crapped on for that too, now that I said that. But still, we'll see what he brings to the table. All right, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, the NBA playoff picture is looking a little bit more clear. The only thing that's not clear is what the hell is going on with the MVP race. We'll talk about that. Not only that, we have some shocking news coming out of the WNBA about how a supposed star player, and I say supposed because that's how we see her, a supposed star player is officially traded, and what her new home is going to be. Not only that, but we have some NFL draft news and how potentially the number one pick overall won't be in attendance for the game. For the draft, I meant. And not only that, but of course, some other shocking NFL news, including coming out of New York, where a top defensive player is officially requesting a trade. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Not only that, but folks, we also have the WrestleMania card officially revealed. We'll talk about those. and of course which night should be the most watched. And then of course around the diamond we'll check in on the Yankees and the Mets, and of course the huge fight that took place last night in Major League Baseball. We'll talk about all that and more coming up right here on BW Radio, the number one Syracuse Sports Radio, right here on YouTube.
Sports fans are gearing up and saving big at Fanatics.com, the world's largest collection of officially licensed fan gear. From all the leagues, teams, and players you love, unique one-of-a-kind designs exclusively by Fanatics, and autographed collectibles from today's biggest stars shipped directly to your home. Join Fanatics Rewards for free to earn fan cash on every purchase. Shop now and for a limited time, get 20% off all orders. Fanatics.com, officially licensed everything.
Welcome back to BW Radio, the number one Syracuse Sports Radio, right here on YouTube. So to be back with you folks once again. Folks, a big thank you to our sponsors at Fanatics.com, and of course the new Fanatics app. Make sure you folks download it on your mobile devices today and start earning fan cash that you can use towards future purchases from Fanatics.com. So whether you fans are getting ready for the NBA playoffs, or whether you folks are getting ready for the upcoming MLB season, or whether you guys are getting ready for the upcoming WNBA season, make sure you folks gear up big time. Or whether you're getting ready for the NFL draft taking place this month, make sure you folks get ready for all of that with our sponsors, Fanatics.com, and of course the new Fanatics app. Download today on the App Store or Google Play. All right. I want to talk NBA basketball here. A lot has happened in terms of the NBA. And boy, oh boy, a lot of playoff clinching scenarios that took place last night. And don't worry, we are going to talk about it. We are going to talk about it, considering the fact that as of right now, Minnesota has officially clinched a playoff spot after a 124-104 victory over the Indiana Pacers, and of course a Phoenix loss. Phoenix is locked into the NBA play-in tournament after a 119-105 loss to Houston, and of course Minnesota's win. And then of course the Miami Heat are in the play-in tournament after a loss last night to Toronto, 121-95 in that one. So currently, as it sits, as of right now, in the NBA playoff bracket, Oklahoma City Thunder in the West takes the number one seed. Detroit takes the number one seed in the Eastern Conference. The current matchups as of right now for the play-in: the Suns will take on the Clippers in the West. The Trailblazers will take on the Golden State Warriors there as well. Phoenix comes in as a 7 seed, Clippers come in as an 8 seed, Trailblazers come in as a 9 seed, and Golden State Warriors come in as a 10 seed. In the Eastern Conference, the number 7 seed 76ers will take on the number 8 seed Orlando Magic, while the Charlotte Hornets at number 9 will take on the number 10 Miami Heat. The play-in will tip off on April 14th. So we are 6 days away from that, with the first round officially tipping off on April 18th, and the first game of the NBA Finals will take place on June 3rd. Teams that have already clinched a playoff spot are the Thunder, Spurs, Lakers, Nuggets, Rockets, and Timberwolves. In the Eastern Conference, the Pistons, Celtics, Knicks, and Cavaliers have clinched their playoff spots as well. The current teams that are eliminated at this moment are the Mavericks, Grizzlies, Pelicans, Kings, and Jazz out of the West. In the East, the Nets, Bulls, Pacers, Bucks, and Wizards are officially out there as they look towards the draft for their future picks. So what do I think of the playoff picture at this moment? This is the question that I got asked. Well, let me say this, right? The Lakers are in for a much, much difficult path here, considering the fact that they lost not only Luka, but potentially Reeves as well. According to what we've seen, Reeves and Luka have the potential of coming back should the Lakers survive the first round, where their matchup is against the Rockets. I think that that's two big losses there for the Lakers that just keep having bad things happen to them. And according to J.J. Redick, after what was said in his press conference last night, it's like he can't get a win with his guys not stepping up, is what I got from that press conference. But I'm looking at this play-in picture, and I gotta say, does the East not look as interesting as the West does? Like, no offense, I'm looking at the East, right? And yeah, there's some surprising stuff here, like the Pistons being the number 1 seed, even though last year we were laughing at them for being the worst team in the NBA. But I'm looking at it right now, and I gotta say, none of these matchups look interesting to me. I'm trying to be as nice as I can be here, but why is it that the West looks more thrilling, even with their play-in series? Trailblazers versus Warriors? That seems like a much more interesting matchup than Hornets versus the Heat. Not only that, but why is it that the Suns and Clippers seems like a matchup that seems more interesting than 76ers versus Magic? And not only that, looking at the current playoff picture, why does Lakers and Rockets and Nuggets and Timberwolves look better than Cavaliers versus Hawks and Knicks versus Raptors? I've always said this, that the West has always been a more interesting playoff picture, even though we are here in the East and we cheer on East teams. The West just seems like a more stacked field, especially when you got the champions OKC sitting atop there, waiting to know who they're going to play from the play-in tournament. But to me, it looks stale over here in the East, doesn't it? Like, I'm not trying to crap on the Hornets. I'm not trying to crap on the Heat or the Sixers or the Magic or the Cavaliers, Hawks, Knicks, Raptors. But, I mean, no offense. We all know how this is going to turn out. It's either going to be Pistons, Knicks, or freaking Celtics that advance here, right? When the league gets expanded, whoever gets moved to the East is going to win that conference easy. LMFA. Well, yeah, that's true. That is true. Which, by the way, we were talking about this the other day. Who we think is going to be moving to the East. we were like, oh, this is a coin toss because we legit had no idea. I was like, who can move over to the East? And then we legit had to pull up an NBA map. We pulled up an NBA map. And we were like, okay, who's more East here? Surprisingly enough, for me, I said Minnesota would be the one to move. But then I was like, no, that's child's play. They'll destroy the East. I said Minnesota just because it's a lot more East than half these teams in the West. I mean, maybe the Rockets are a close second, but then again, maybe Memphis. Yeah, wait a minute. Memphis is in the West, isn't it? Yeah, so maybe Memphis if they. Hmm. I don't know. We were having a huge argument about this the other day because we didn't know who was going to move from this place to that place. But I would have suspected probably those three teams that I just listed off, either Minnesota, Memphis, or the Rockets, would make the most sense. But then again, the NBA doesn't make any sense, and chances are they're probably going to pick the fucking Sacramento Kings to go to the East. Which, of course, that deserves this noise. Hey, soundboard guy, how's the East stand a chance against any of the teams that are coming over from the West? Okay, thank you. Pretty sure that was the wrong noise. Do we have a lawsuit on our hands? Ah, okay, thank you. I like how I can't control how loud those noises are. I wish I could control them like I used to, but I don't have that software anymore. Anyway, getting back to it, like I was saying, I'm not trying to be the guy that craps all over the NBA playoff, but I mean, Jesus Christ, I'm sitting here looking at this bracket right now, and honestly, it looks so boring. Like I'm getting more entertainment out of the West than I am here in the East. Which sucks because I want the Pistons to be like that team, you know? Like I would love if they become like the biggest underdog story, won the damn thing. It's just weird to me. Like I want them to succeed. That's what's driving me nuts. Is I want the East to look as good as the West, but it doesn't. I can tell you what though, that Trailblazer Warriors matchup, that's definitely going to be a good one to see who gets to take on the loser of the 7 and 8 game. Hornets, I need them to make weight. No. You think the Hornets are going to knock off the number 1 seed if they were to advance? Okay, all right, hold on. First off, let me just say this right now. That if it's the 76ers or it's the Magic that they face, the Hornets are going down. I'm being for real. But even if they survive that play-in, if they go up against the Pistons are going to fucking steamroll them. It doesn't matter how good they were after the freaking All-Star break. If they even get into the playoffs, I'll be surprised. Because Miami has this act where they act like they're not good, and then all of a sudden they survive the play-in, and then go one or a couple rounds, and then they fucking go down. I don't know, like it's It's just weird. And I get no excitement coming out of the East, which is weird. Meanwhile, we heard that Wemby is listed as a game time decision tonight, which could affect his MVP chances from what we've heard. He only has to play 20 minutes. That's what we've heard. If the Hornets make it to the playoffs after the season they had last season, I'm going to go wild. Listen, I'm not crapping on the Hornets. Honestly, I'm done talking about the Hornets. Why are we talking about the Hornets? Why aren't we talking about like the actual good teams here? Why are we talking about play-in teams? If you're in the play-in, you're not going to fucking win. Let's be for real. Miami had a magic run a while back. That was it. That was the only good thing that came out of the play-in. But look, wait a minute, hold on. Jaylen Brown dropped friggin' 35 on you guys last night. Shut up. Talking about how good the Hornets are. You guys lost. Shut up. Then again, so did the Heat. Anyway, enough about that. I want to talk about this. So, Wemby apparently only needs to play about 20 minutes from what we've heard. And I gotta ask. Oh, good for Melo. He lost. Anyway, get over it, man. Anyway, no, from what we've seen, and I also heard the Lakers got their ass throttled too. But yeah, all right, you distracted me. God damn it. Wembanyama. All right. So here's what we got. This came out of Yahoo Sports about 14 hours ago. Spurs star Victor Wembanyama is doubtful to play Wednesday versus the Trailblazers, but there's confidence he'll play in at least one of San Antonio's final 3 games in the regular season. Wemby needs to appear in one more game for 20-plus minutes to be eligible for end-of-season rewards. Now, of course, according to Sham here, it is possible for him to be eligible after this year, which wouldn't shock me. But here's the thing. Sham, of course, our favorite ESPN NBA insider here. Shut up. Apparently, he's got some details about the Lakers' injury. And, of course, about one in particular when it comes to the Lakers, about Luka, and, of course, Austin Reeves' timeline that he said on NBA Today from ESPN. And I want to hear from Sham what's going on there, because there was also updates that Luka is still trying to fight to try and be back in the MVP race. So let's hear what ESPN insider Sham had to say on ESPN Today, our NBA Today from ESPN. This audio comes from that.
Both Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves will be sidelined indefinitely going into the playoffs. But we got a new wrinkle going into this week, and that's what I reported last night, and I can further report here today. I'm told Luka Doncic is currently in Spain. He traveled there because he's undergoing an injection procedure in that grade 2 hamstring area to see if he can promote healing and, at the end of the day, expedite his return process. He's doing everything he can to make it back out on the court. We know a grade 2 hamstring strain typically falls between 4 to 6 weeks. He's doing everything he can to see if he can push that timeline up just a little bit. And we're still not sure exactly how this treatment goes. Does it work? How much does it speed everything up? But that's what he's doing. He's in Spain. Austin Reeves is a little bit of a different card. 4 to 6 weeks, he's out. He's got a grade 2 oblique strain. Oof. And so that timeline essentially would sideline him a majority, if not the entire first-round series. The goal is for both of these players to be back. JJ Redick has said it. We just have to extend our run in the playoffs to try to get both of them back.
All right, so that comes from Sham, of course, on NBA Today via ESPN. If you guys want to go watch that, it's on ESPN. So obviously 2 huge losses here for the Lakers, but of course when it comes to the MVP race, that's what everyone's curious about. We haven't seen any further reports on whether or not that the NBA will consider or even talk about the Luka being back in the MVP race, even though he was injured and he missed a certain amount of games. We don't know if the appeal process is happening or if they're going to wait until the end of the season for it to happen. Because usually they don't give out the MVP and awards until, during the playoffs once it's officially started. But I gotta say that this NBA playoff or, push for the MVP award here, to me, is wide open. I don't think is as certain as let's just give it to Luka just because he averages 33 points. Or, I think it's wide open here. And the reason that I'm saying that is because you got guys like SGA out of OKC, you got Jokic out of Denver, Wembanyama out of San Antonio. I think it's going to be a real tough decision for the NBA to try and say this is the guy that we're going to make the MVP. But I will say this, Luka does have the advantage here considering the fact that he is in most of these categories here when it comes to being in the MVP race. If he is allowed to be eligible again, if he's not, then obviously I would say the toss-up is going to be between Jokic, Wemby, and SGA. But the other day, someone tried to argue with me, oh, why aren't you talking about Jaylen Brown? Is it because you're a New York guy? You're a Miami guy? Okay, let me dispel this now. Jaylen Brown is going to be put on the back burner now that Jason Tatum is back. Has Jaylen Brown done a lot for Boston? Yes, I never said that he didn't. I didn't say that Jaylen Brown wasn't worthy of being in the MVP talk either. My discussion was that Jaylen Brown, even though he is a top player this season, is not the main story coming out of Boston. The main story coming out of Boston is the return of Jason Tatum and how he's been efficient compared to Jaylen Brown. Now, do I think that Jaylen Brown, again, is he the main guy out of Boston? Yes. Do I think that he needs a lot more media coverage than Jason Tatum? Yes. Do I think that Jason Tatum should have sat out the season, considering the fact that he was listed as ineligible for the season? Yes. I think it's kind of unfair. Which, by the way, I want that to be a rule in sports, where if you're listed out as being out for the season, you shouldn't be allowed to come back. If you're out for the season, you're done for the season. You shouldn't be allowed to play and come back and this and that. If you're out, you're out. But you got guys like Rodgers and freaking Tatum coming in here and putting everyone's health at risk. The point being is even though Jaylen Brown has had an efficient season too, it's nothing compared to what Luka and these other guys have done. See, these guys have become the impactful players for their team that they're supposed to be. Jaylen has not been consistent every single night. Luka has been consistent. Nikola has been consistent. SGA has been consistent. Wemby has been consistent. Heck, even Anthony Edwards has been consistent. Jaylen Brown has not been consistent most of the season. And you guys can sit there and be like, well, he's been the main guy. Yeah, he's been the main guy, but he hasn't been the guy to burst out of Boston as the MVP go-getter. Realistically, if we were doing that, then freaking Cade Cunningham should be allowed. And Cade Cunningham should be involved in that talk because he turned Detroit into one of the top teams in the number 1 seed. If we're gonna go that far, and we can just bump Jaylen Brown, we can bump a bunch of these guys then. My point being is when you're looking at all these stats, and of course you're looking at, who do you really give the MVP award to? I think that if the appeal process goes through, then yes, it should be Luka. If it doesn't go through, you have a toss-up between 3 guys, Jokic, Wemby, and SGA. Which so far, from what we've heard, SGA is the go-getter here. Apparently, he's number 1 when it comes to the MVP vote. So it wouldn't shock me if he wins it. I mean, I honestly can't tell you. I mean, in my opinion, yes, radio thinks it's Luka. No, hold on. CMW, listen to me. I said if he wins the appeal process, it's going to be Luka. I think it should be Luka, yes, because, again, he has impressive stats. But we know how this award goes. It doesn't matter realistically because we've seen guys with much more impressive stats than Luka not win MVP. We've seen it happen before. I mean, it could be Luka now, and then all of a sudden they're like, congratulations, SGA. Or congratulations, Nikola Jokic. I'm telling you, I've seen it happen before. It doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, I hate to say it, but I've seen this play out so many times where these guys are just given the MVP when they didn't deserve it. I've seen it way too many times. I remember one year they gave the Defensive Player of the Year award to someone who didn't deserve it. It's insane. But anyway, we do have some news coming out of the WNBA, believe it or not. Because this was one of the shocking news that come out of the WNBA. The Chicago Sky have traded 2-time WNBA All-Star Angela Reese to the Atlanta Dream for first-round draft picks in 2027 and 2028, and announced Monday. The Dream will also receive a 2028 second-round swap rights. Reese, 23, defended her WNBA rebounding crown last season, averaging 12 points per game. She is the only player in WNBA history to average 12.0 rebounds per game in a season when she did it in 2024 and 2025. Reese also led the league in double-doubles last season while pacing the Sky in scoring with 14.7 points and 3.7 assists. Reese would go on to say, I am beyond grateful for the opportunity to join the Atlanta Dream organization. I am focused on continuing to grow my name, competing at the highest level, connecting with fans, and giving everything I got to the Dream. Reese did not request a trade, but the Sky worked closely with her team to find her a new home, sources said, adding that there was no contentiousness between the two parties. The Sky missed the playoffs the last 2 years and are expected to revamp the roster this offseason. Can I so let me get this straight. The woman that proclaims that she is the best WNBA player and that people come to watch her got traded from her original team? Soundboard guy, normally I would argue with you, but I think you need to play this sound. You're telling me that the woman who runs her mouth, saying how better she is than Caitlin Clark, saying how she's the top star of the WNBA, saying how she is the must-come-see factor here, gets traded from her original team? Loser. I mean, come on. You're excited to join the Atlanta Dream. The Atlanta Dream, who the Atlanta Dream, who, yes, made the playoffs last year. You're excited to join that team to try and turn it around, even after the fact that you were the second worst team in the WNBA last season. And I gotta make sure that we're talking about this right. Why are they talking about her defending a rebounding crown when the only reason that she has that was because she was missing so many of her shots that it wasn't hard for her to get her own rebound? Boy, how is she averaging all these rebounds? It's called she's getting her shots about 3 times before she puts it in the freaking basket. It's called a meme bound. Yes, exactly. Thank you, CMW. The point I'm trying to make here is Angela Reese has been running her mouth, talking all kinds of shit, saying how great she is for the league. Only now does she get traded to a good team and saying how thankful she is and how she's going to compete at the highest level and connect with fans and give everything she's got. Well, everything you gave was second to worst. And again, I'm not trying to put this all on Angela Reese, but I mean, when you talk shit and don't back it up, I think it's the funniest thing of all time. This might be the funniest thing I've read all season. And listen, the WNBA has been going through a lot this offseason, especially with contract negotiations and stuff like that. But this was the funniest damn thing I've seen all day. The woman who proclaims that she is the must-see factor in the WNBA, who couldn't help that franchise, is now saying, I can't wait for the opportunity to go help a franchise that was already succeeding by being the third best team in the NBA, in the WNBA last season. That is so stupid. It is. It's so stupid. All right, we're going to take a commercial break. When we come back, we got to talk about the NFL draft and how the projected number 1 overall pick isn't even going to attend the goddamn draft. And then not only that, but we have some news out of New York and how one of their top players is asking for a trade, and how does the head coach of this team respond? We'll talk about that in just a moment. Stay with us live right here on BW Radio, the number 1 Syracuse Sports Radio, right here on YouTube.
has legit tickets for legit fans. From concerts to sports and everything in between. Vivid Seats makes scoring great deals on great seats fast, easy, and reliable. When it's something you can't miss, Vivid Seats doesn't miss. These guys know what I'm talking about, and so do these guys. Vivid Seats, the only ticket company that rewards you for buying.
Welcome back to BW Radio, the number one Syracuse Sports Radio right here on YouTube. So we'll be back with you folks once again. A big thank you to our sponsors at Vivid Seats. Folks, gear up for the NBA playoffs by getting the best seats to watch your favorite teams in the playoffs, folks. Get the best tickets. Not only that, but folks, it's concert season. You guys want to get your favorite concert tickets? Download the Vivid Seats app and get the best deals on the best tickets for the best prices. Or you guys can check them out at vividseats.com today. You know, I'm off track after this break, considering the fact that I was thinking about what was discussed last night between me and my friends, and we were up very late last night discussing a lot of different things. One of which I couldn't believe we completely forgot about. So yesterday we were helping our good friend Peyton Cash with his NFL draft stuff, which, by the way, you guys can watch that coming up here soon. And we were playing clips from the old draft where I bitched that the New York Giants need not to draft a Georgia player. But we were also talking about our good friend and Boston expert Thomas Noble freaking out at the Patriots not getting Justin Fields. But also how our Tampa Bay sports expert Peyton Cash freaked out over the Patriots getting Mac Jones a lot louder. And I couldn't believe it. I was like, why do I not remember that? I thought Noble was more excited to be getting Mac Jones. Instead, Peyton was the one freaking out that they got Mac Jones. Made no fucking sense. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing up draft stuff is because we got reports here that Fernando Mendoza, projected number one pick in the NFL draft, has informed the league that he will not be attending the draft, according to ESPN's Adam Schefter. Mendoza wants to share the draft experience with his family in Miami. The Las Vegas Raiders are widely expected to select Mendoza as the first overall pick after the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback led Indiana to the college football playoff championship last season. Sources told Schefter last week that Mendoza was scheduled to visit the Raiders in Las Vegas on Tuesday. Mendoza would be the latest top pick to not attend the draft in person. Trayvon Walker in 2022, Trevor Lawrence in 2021, Baker Mayfield in 2018, and Myles Garrett in 2017 also opted to spend the draft night with their families in alternate locations. This year's draft will be held in Pittsburgh, with the first round taking place on April 23rd. So, I want to talk about Mendoza here for a minute, and if I thought because someone asked me the other day at work, did I think Mendoza was the best option for the Las Vegas Raiders? And I'm going to give you guys my honest answer right now. The difference between Indiana and Las Vegas, Indiana has a line. Indiana has wide receivers. Mendoza had time to throw the ball in the pocket. Mendoza thinks with his feet. There's none of those things in Las Vegas. Do I think Mendoza is going to be the first overall pick? Yes. I think the Raiders are going to go all in on this guy. I think that they're going to think that he's going to be the future that saves the Raiders. Well, one problem, Raiders, you need to give the guy a fucking offensive line first and some weapons to throw to. I mean, look, I'm trying not to be as big of a dick about this as possible, but the Raiders picking Mendoza is obviously going to happen. The part that I think is worrying about me about Mendoza becoming a Raider is the Raiders don't have all the things that Mendoza once had that made him successful. I'm not saying that Mendoza's not a great quarterback and can't, make something out of nothing. We've seen that happen with a lot of teams in the NFL. But when it comes to Mendoza, I'm worried because we've seen top quarterbacks think that they're going to turn a franchise around, like guys like Baker Mayfield and guys like multiple other quarterbacks in the league, including Trevor Lawrence. Like, we thought that Trevor Lawrence was going to turn the Jaguars around, which he has. But we've also seen Baker Mayfield not do that with the Browns. We've seen just so many examples of guys thinking that they could turn a franchise around, and instead we get met with, oh, what was really to blame there? The quarterback or the team? I'm worried that Mendoza will be the new fall guy if the Raiders don't succeed next season. And listen, I don't know what's going through Las Vegas's head. I don't. I don't know if they are completely rebuilding that team to put him in a much better position to succeed. I don't know if Las Vegas is giving him the ammunition that he needs to be that guy. But I do think that him not showing up at the combine and him not showing up at the draft kind of shows that, hey, I'm already thinking like I'm a top guy, and I've seen this before where the hottest quarterback thinks that he's the top guy and then gets completely embarrassed the minute he gets out there. Now, I think he's got some learning to do, considering the fact that he's going to be, I don't think he's going to be starting right away. I think that he's going to be learning under Kirk Cousins, who is with the Raiders. I don't know if he's going to become the mentor, and we're going to see Mendoza learn a year under him. I think Kirk Cousins is going to be the guy that starts for the Raiders. I really do. But it really depends on what this team is going to do. And listen, I think that the Raiders could have a complete turnaround should they choose that they're going to have a complete turnaround. Meaning, I think that there's a lot, and I think they shoot themselves in the foot more times than none. It really depends on which offensive line Mendoza is going to get when he gets under quarterback, whether it's going to be a fully revamped offensive line that the Raiders are going to love, or it's going to be a, for the love of God, help this quarterback. There's so much wrong with this offensive line, it's not funny. It really depends on which one shows up compared to the other one. But yeah, no, I have Mendoza going first. He's obviously going to be the first overall pick. It's no secret here. Like, let's be for real here. Well, we do have some news coming out of New York, which pisses me the fuck off. Standout defensive lineman Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade recently and didn't show up for the first day of the New York Giants offseason program Tuesday. It doesn't necessarily mean he will land elsewhere. New York Giants head coach John Harbaugh expressed optimism during a video call with reporters on Tuesday that Lawrence's situation could eventually get settled with him returning in New York. Lawrence has been hoping for a new deal from the New York Giants for the past 2 off seasons. Harbaugh said, and I quote, "We'll find out. I think the prospects of the return are going to be high because the Giants, speaking for the Giants, we want Dexter here, and I believe Dexter wants to be here. And that's a good formula." Lawrence is scheduled to make $20 million this season. That would put him as the 10th highest paid interior defensive lineman. It's less than players such as Philadelphia's Jordan Davis or Tennessee's John Franklin Myers has earned. The Giants don't want to trade Lawrence, a source told ESPN, but it appears they will at least listen to offers, Harbaugh said Tuesday when asked about Kayvon Thibodeau's future with the team, saying everyone is tradable, everybody would include Lawrence for the right price. So, being a Giants fan, allow me to speak directly to Coach Harbaugh and that entire fucking franchise there in New York. If you let Dexter Lawrence go, I am so done with the franchise, it's not even funny. Dexter Lawrence is a staple. The New York Giants have a tendency to let go of guys that are the staples of our team, including Saquon Barkley, including a Daniel Jones that could have worked out, but we were dumb enough to let him go to a new team where he actually could do really good. If the New York Giants so happen to lose Dexter Lawrence, then I will be requesting a trade to get the fuck out of that franchise's fan base because it is so ridiculous. And listen, I think that Dexter should be paid a lot of money. Dexter Lawrence is our top guy. He's our top defensive guy. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care if we have Brian Burns. I don't care if we have this whole revamped defense and this whole revamped team that we got going on. If we lose Dexter Lawrence, then this whole rebuild is for nothing. If we lose Dexter Lawrence, then this whole new era for Jim Harbaugh means jack shit. As far as I'm concerned. I think that they should just give Dexter whatever he wants. I don't care what it is. I don't care if he's asking for $30 million, $40 million. Hell, give him fucking $50 million for all I care. I think the guy has earned that kind of contract. I don't care what anyone says. The guy has proven time and time again why he is one of the top guys on our team. And yes, we can admit last season was not his brightest. Obviously, he was... I mean, obviously he didn't stick out last season in the new revamped Giants defense, considering the fact that there was a lot more guys on that defense, and of course they were dealing with injuries too. But Jesus Christ, we would be so dumb to lose Dexter. It wouldn't even be funny. And I'm telling you this right now, Joe Sheehan. If you trade away Dexter Lawrence, you're trading away me. I'm not kidding. I will abandon ship. I am not going to keep riding this New York Giants train where every single time you guys get my hopes up with a new revamped team and everything's going to be different, and then all of a sudden it turns into the same shit show over and over and over again where you're just trading away our best player to try and revamp this team, and we finish dead last in the NFC East and we don't even have a shot at playoffs. I'm kind of getting sick and tired of it. So I'm saying this right now. If you are any kind of Giants fan and you see that Dexter Lawrence has abandoned the team, then I think that we should all abandon the team and not show up to any Giants games next season or Jets games or anything like that. I think that we shouldn't show up to any Giants games next season, and I'll ask everyone to boycott it until they get some players that can actually help this fucking team. I don't care if the Giants go undefeated next year. I don't care if the Giants have anything. If they get rid of their best defensive player, I am so done with this fucking team, it's not even funny. They need to stop letting guys that are staples of the fucking team go. Just so that way they can get future draft picks that are going to be busts. They're going to be busts. I'd rather have Dexter. Getting Odell Beckham in the offseason, yeah, that would be great too. But I'd rather have Dexter. I'd rather have a guy who can break through the fucking offensive line and then hit him with the sexy Dexy dance after. I'm not kidding. If they get rid of Dexter, this is the sound you're going to hear at Giants games next season. I'm not kidding. That is going to be the noise. And it's going to piss me the fuck off. Dexter has proven time and time again and put his body in line and proved why he is one of the top guys for this team. Yes, we can admit, last season, not his greatest. I think the only highlight from last season was he was able to pick off an interception and he almost returned it for a touchdown. I'm not sitting here saying that Dexter didn't try his best to break through all these lines because they know Dexter Lawrence. They double team his ass because they know he can break through that offensive line and destroy their quarterback and make a play. Dexter Lawrence is one of the hardest working guys I know. Dexter Lawrence is one of the best New York Giants players of all time. The guy has a fucking tattoo of the New York Giants on his arm. We would be stupid to let this guy go to a different team. So Harbaugh, Sheehan, Mara, whoever the fuck is running this team, you let Dexter Lawrence go, you let me go, I jump ship, I go find myself a different team. I'm not kidding. The minute the news breaks, if Dexter Lawrence gets traded, I'm done. I am done. I am sailing ship. I am saying sayonara. I'm done. Because I can't with this franchise. And on my way out, I will leave Mara with this. If Dexter Lawrence is off that Giants team, I will say, hey, Mara, yeah, fire Sheehan because he's the reason that your fucking franchise tanks because he'll trade away anyone that should be our future. He doesn't understand that if we just gave Barkley the certain amount of money, we would have had an incredible season. He doesn't understand that if we give Dexter the amount of money, we will have a better season because we're in a revamp here. Guy's a fucking dink, honestly. I fucking hate Sheehan at this point. The dude's a moron. We've seen how he works in that Hard Knocks documentary. Guy's a fucking jack-off. And listen, you guys may think I'm being cruel here, but I mean, come on. Come the fuck on. Let's wake up here a little bit. How would you guys feel if your team, who you guys have had hopes for every single year, keeps trading away their best players? You want to know what? CMW, let me put it in terms of the NBA. That's like whoever the Lakers owner is, just trading away LeBron, Luka, Reeves, trading away all your top guys every single year. Because that's what it feels like with this fucking Sheehan and the Giants. It's ridiculous. Alright. We need to take another commercial break. When we come back, the lineup is set for the great stage in Las Vegas. WrestleMania 42. Match cards have been released. We'll talk about those and why fans need to go buy tickets, especially after hearing one superstar. Not only that, but we'll also talk about around the diamond. Of course, we'll check in on the Yankees and the Mets. And then we'll talk about the big fight that took place last night in Major League Baseball and so much more. So stay with us live right here on BW Radio, the number one Syracuse Sports Radio, right here on YouTube. Welcome back to the BW Radio. Wow, I really can't talk. Welcome back to BW Radio, the number one Syracuse Sports Radio, right here on YouTube. So we'll be back with you folks once again. The BW Radio Network schedule on your screens right now, folks. The Wrestler Podcast going live every Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. BW Radio going live Wednesdays at 8 a.m. And of course, every other Tuesday, the RWO's War on YouTube as well. What a show today's been. So much to talk about, so much to talk about. The return of the soundboard. It's been great, actually. I'm glad that we were able to. I'm not gonna lie, I like today's show. Today's show's been a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie, especially with what we're gonna talk about next, because I think we're gonna voice a lot of opinions here. So, the official match cards for both WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday are announced. They were announced on ESPN's Get Up Tuesday morning show. WrestleMania 42 streams live on ESPN in the United States and on Netflix everywhere else. Coverage beginning both days at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And folks, I gotta tell you what, after what took place Monday with one guy by the name of CM Punk calling out TKO, boy, oh boy, oh boy. Because he went off, and I think it makes Mania that much better. And trust me, we'll talk about the whole card here in a second, but I just want to talk about this part because this part, according to this, Punk went off script last night on Monday and cut a promo from the heart instead. This was according to PWI and PWI. Listen to this segment by Punk, because not only does he call out Pat McAfee, but he also calls out TKO's guy there that's in control of the ticket prices for Mania, and boy, do the fans get behind him when he says this. So listen to this. Oh.
Tonight, Pat McAfee. You buggy whipped arm, no brain hillbilly. You think you can come here to the business, my business of pro wrestling, and run your mouth while you just wrote a check that your narrow ass can't cash? You want to talk about ticket sales? Do me a favor. Call up that agent that was foolish enough to shoehorn you into this business and this show and tell him to lower the ticket prices.
That's just a little clip from Monday Night Raw that you guys can watch on Netflix. CM Punk, of course, talked about a lot of things during that segment, including Roman Reigns, Vince, TKO, The Rock, Pat McAfee, or McAfee as he called him, and of course the ticket prices for the upcoming WrestleMania. And folks, I got to tell you, he needs to be right here, because I'm telling you what, this card, I can't believe I'm saying this, I'm actually excited for WrestleMania 42 after that little promo. I don't know about anyone else, but I'm excited. But folks, here's the match card. So taking place on Saturday's match card, it will be the Women's World Championship match between Stephanie Vaquer and Liv Morgan. Seth Rollins will take on Gunther. Women's IC Championship match, AJ Lee takes on Becky Lynch. The Women's Tag Team Championship match in a fatal 4-way. How's it going, Pro Wrestling guy? How's it going? So we have Nia Jax and Lash Legend defending their women's tag team titles against Flair and Bliss, Bayley and Valkyria, and the Bella Twins. 2 matches will be featured in the first hour on ESPN2. And then, of course, the big match of that night on Saturday will be, of course, Cody Rhodes taking on Randy Orton with Pat McAfee for the undisputed WWE Championship. And then, oh boy, we're getting into some good stuff here. We have the unsanctioned match between Jacob Fatu and Drew McIntyre. And then, of course, the 6-man tag match between Paul, Theory, and IShowSpeed taking on the Usos and LA Knight. Then we go to Sunday. Sunday, in my opinion, looks like the best part of the card to me, because we have an IC Championship ladder match between Penta, Javon Evans, Dragon Lee, JD McDonough, Rusev, and Rey Mysterio. We have Oba Femi taking on Brock Lesnar. Apparently, these are going to be the 2 matches that are featured on the first hour on ESPN. We then have United States Championship match between Sami Zayn and Trick Williams. We see the Demon return to take on Dominic Mysterio. We have Jade Cargill taking on Rhea Ripley. And then, of course, the main event of WrestleMania on Sunday night will be CM Punk versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship. I am so excited for this card, especially after that promo that Punk cut, because Punk was speaking from the heart. I think that realistically, the ticket prices should be lowered. I mean, the fact that we even looked up prices for it was insane at that point. But no, I mean, listen, this is just getting so much better. You forgot AJ. No, I didn't. I said AJ. I said women's IC title match between AJ Lee and Becky Lynch. I could have sworn I said that. If I did, I apologize. That's going to be on the Saturday card too. AJ Lee versus Becky Lynch for the women's IC title. So listen, we are in for a very exciting WrestleMania Las Vegas. Even though fans are not happy with the way that Pat McAfee has been getting involved. Which, by the way, my major complaint for all you guys is shut up. I mean, if you guys are happy with the fact that IShowSpeed is in a fucking match, and Jelly Roll, and all these other celebrities being in matches, you guys can't really bitch about Pat McAfee. I mean, honestly. I mean, look, we'll bitch if Pat McAfee is the final guy, but I mean, come on, let's use our heads here. I've said this on the Wrestler podcast. If you guys don't use your heads here for this, it's clear Randy has another option in his pocket. I mean, let's be for real. Come on. Pat McAfee is not the guy. Relax. And if he is, then I think we have a lawsuit. Thank you. Who do you think is showing up the Raw after me? Ooh. All right, hold on. Just let me say this real quick. If Pat McAfee is the guy that they're going with, then I think that this is what should be played after Mania. Just saying. All right. Question for you, radio. Who do you think is showing up on the Raw after Mania? Well, that's a good question. That is a really good question. I think we're gonna see some people returning from injuries. Um, that would be speculating to the extreme. Yeah. Um, I, I mean, look, if it really depends, because I mean, you could have a numerous amount of guys, but I don't know. I think we're gonna get some guys back from injury that we've been needing to get back. Um, I think, who really could show up is the question. Hmm. I don't know. I think we see a lot of debuts. I think we see a lot more of those, and I think one name that we're gonna see, unfortunately, is say his name and he appears. I think he appears on Raw. Um, who's another person that could show up? I think Paige shows up on Raw after Mania. Maybe. I mean that would be insane if she does. I think it'd be awesome if she came back. Um, who else could show up though? I mean, have we heard any updates or injury updates on Brunson Reed? Is he could potentially come back, or if he's gonna be out a lot longer? I think it'd be funny if Cena showed up on the Raw after me. See, I don't know, because I mean, realistically, we could get a numerous amount of people. It depends on whether or not she's ready to come back. I know she said in an interview she would like to come back, but it depends whether she's ready or not. She seems content with what she. Yeah. I mean, it's very hard to take a guess. I think we see a lot of call ups. I don't know why. I think we see more call ups than we do returns. There's been radio silence in regards. Hey, shut up. Um, I mean, maybe he comes back, but I think we see more call ups than we do anything else. I think we see Joe Hendry go up. I think we see what's her name there, JC, get moved up. Yeah, JC Jane. I think she gets called up. Maybe Ethan Page. Um, maybe Sol Ruka. I don't know. It's a toss up, because I like part of me wants to sit here and say yes, these guys are absolutely gonna show up, but another part of me is like, maybe not. Well, Paige is there that week for Mania for her book tour and live podcast. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that she's just gonna show up on Raw after Mania. I guess it really depends who, what, where, when, and why. JC Jane goes up for me, but I don't know about Joe Hendry just yet. Ethan Page, I'm not so sure about yet. Looks like he and Ricky Saints have issues. Yeah. I mean, you really never know. I mean, with the Raw after Mania, that it's hard to take a guess. Um, it's mostly a lot of returns from guys who have been injured. So I'm kind of thinking, because I think Braun Breaker gets involved in that Gunther and fucking Seth Rollins match during Mania, so I don't think that's his. I also think that Brunson Reed may come back. Trying to think of who else. Also, Radio, love the animations on screen. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I mean, it could be numerous amount of people. Although Page's short-term future is a match against Tony D'Angelo for NXT Championship next week. Well, yeah, I mean, D'Angelo's going to retain. I don't know, who's a guy that's been out for a while? Like this is the problem. Like trying to figure out who's going to show up on Raw after Mania is like trying to figure out who's returning is even more difficult. I think Naomi comes back at some point. I know that we need Naomi and Bianca to return at some point here, because it's getting kind of... But... maybe KO, if he's good to go, but I don't know. No, Kevin Owens has been out for a while. But I don't know about Kevin just yet. I don't know. Like I said, it's a real toss-up trying to take a guess on who comes back and who doesn't. I mean... It's extremely difficult. Oh my god, I'm so happy that the Demon's coming back. Dominic Mysterio is going down. He's gonna learn why you don't fuck with the Demon. He is going to learn today. Depends on if Naomi's giving birth or not. Plus, maternity leave for women. All that. Yeah, true. But you never know. You never know. You never know. Mania is full of surprises. We could see a whole bunch of things that we probably won't know or probably shouldn't know or see, or anything can happen in the WWE. Except lowering the ticket prices. Apparently TKO is still not lowering the ticket prices. I would love it if they did. I think a good question someone asked me is, do you think that John Cena makes an appearance after Mania? And I think, maybe. I think John shows up on Raw for one more appearance. How the heck do you do the animation? It's my PNG tuber. This is the model that I use for gaming streams too. You see my model, my guy. Trust me, we're getting a full animated one here soon. But anyway, yeah, like I said, the Mania card, in my opinion, looks better than last year's. I think that this year's Mania is one that is going to be a much watch, mostly because I want to see Pat McAfee get destroyed. But not only that, I'm very excited to see what Punk and Roman are gonna do. I want to see where this Cody Rhodes Randy Orton storyline goes. I want to see the Demon Finn Balor return. I want to see. I don't know. I'm very curious to see how some of these matches turn out, especially with the Oba and Brock Lesnar match. Because Jesus Christ, that's gonna be a fucking two men destroying each other. I'm curious to see which way and what direction they go for the AJ Lee Becky Lynch match. I want to see how the Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu match ends. I feel like those two are gonna straight up destroy each other. Kind of disappointed with the U.S. title match. I kind of wanted Mello in it, but I'm fine with Sammy and Williams putting on a show. I'm very excited to see how Rey Mysterio does in the ladder match now that he's in it. People's backstage aren't happy with McAfee's comments, both promo this past week. He'll get over it. It's Pat McAfee. He's being a douche. If it is all acting, then boy, Pat's a really good actor, but I wouldn't give him that much. I'm very curious to see how the Seth Rollins-Gunther match turns out, because part of me wants to say Seth, but another part of me is thinking Gunther's going to make him choke the fuck out. So I'm very curious to see how that's going to go. I don't know. Part of me is thinking that Seth is going to give Gunther a 5-star match, and Gunther is going to fucking powerbomb and choke him the fuck out. Very curious to see how that's going to go. But anyway, WrestleMania taking place Saturday, April 18th, Sunday, April 19th. We will be going live on the WrestleArc podcast. We'll be going live on that channel, of course, which is part of the BW Radio Network. We'll be going live for WrestleMania on Sunday. Saturday, I'm not 100% sure about because I don't know what the hell the guys are doing there because I'll be at work. But I know that I won't be there Saturday because I know that I have work. I don't know about Peyton. I don't know about Vega, but I know Sunday we will be streaming the whole thing, so don't worry. Sunday we will be live to see how that all plays out. So don't you worry about that, chat. All right. Unfortunately, we have to move. Well, I mean, do we really have to talk about Major League Baseball at the moment? I mean, look, as much as I want to talk about Major League Baseball and, of course, the big fight that... I mean, we could... I mean, realistically, if we're gonna do our Around the Diamond segment, which, of course, is usually a sponsored segment, I kind of want to do something a little bit different this week. So, I mean, realistically, the check-in on the Yankees and the Mets... Where is it here? I mean, Yankees are 8-2. They sit atop of the American League East. The Mets, they are tied with the Atlanta Braves for the first place spot in the National League East. There was a huge fight in Major League Baseball last night between the Angels and the Braves, where Ronaldo, Lopez, and Soler pretty much had a benches clearing brawl where a punch could have turned very deadly in that fight. I mean, it was a pretty big fight. I wish we could show it on stream, but we'll get copyrighted immediately. So I kind of want to steal something. And see, I can admit when I'm stealing something, unlike certain people, Peyton. I want to steal something from the WrestleArc podcast, and that's from Liam. Liam, I'm glad that he's in the chat because Liam actually came up with this idea. Vega said he wouldn't be home until a couple of... So yeah, I mean, sounds like he can do it. But I'm going to steal this idea from Liam here. And I'm going to open up the floor to questions. If you guys have any questions you want to ask me in terms of sports questions. And by sports, I'm talking about the major ones. I'm not going to go into friggin' who's going to win the water polo swim backwards championship or something like that. I'm talking NBA, NHL, MLB. I'm going to open up the floor to that because I want to hear what your guys' questions. Heck, I'll even open it up to WWE questions. And we'll do that for the remainder of the show because I honestly want to hear what you guys want to ask us and get our opinions on. So I'm very curious. So, Liam, unfortunately, I'm going to steal your idea, at least for this week, because I have a feeling it's not going to turn out good for us. But, like I said, this is Liam Warren's idea. Liam, of course, one of the major players on the WrestleArc podcast. All right, so one of the questions that we got here is, who do you think is going to win next year's NFL Super Bowl? Ooh. You know, based on what I seen last season, and this is just my opinion, but based on what I seen last season, I don't know. I'm kind of torn in between a couple of teams here because realistically, I think that Buffalo can do it. I think if Buffalo gets a good amount of players that they could turn that team around. I think realistically, I mean, I'm going to have some surprising teams here, but I think if it's coming out of the AFC, I think the Broncos will be back. I think the Broncos could really go on a run next year when Bo Nix is actually good to go. I think if they remain healthy, I think the Colts have a strong chance. I think Pittsburgh probably could go on a little bit of a run. Um, if we're talking NFC, I mean, obviously the heavy favorites are usually. I think realistically speaking, out of the NFC, I mean, you're not going to get a team out of the NFC East. I mean, no offense, but with the way the Giants are right now, I don't even know if they're up or down. Probably the Eagles out of there. I think it's a huge toss-up in the NFC North. I don't know who you could pick out of that conference. I mean, no offense, every single team is pretty much good there, whether it's the Bears, Packers, Vikings, or Lions. You could really have a toss-up there. The NFC South is very hard to pick because all those teams, they're in between teams. So maybe Tampa Bay, if Baker gets his head on right, maybe Panthers. I mean, we can obviously say the defending champion Seahawks with Sam Darnold and that whole team, but they had their team pretty much picked apart with offseason this year, so I'm not sure about that. The Rams, I mean, they could potentially be back there. 49ers, wait, hold on, what's this person say? I hope the 49ers can do it, man. I'm a fan of them. I'm not. I mean, yeah, the 49ers, I mean, they could potentially be there, but I think they have some pieces missing too. Baker is going to the Niners? Huh? No, he ain't. How the fuck did you read that? Where the hell did you see that? You're nuts. The Niners are relying too much on Purdy and fucking Mac Jones. They need to decide what they're doing there before they have any kind of future there. He ain't gonna be a fucking. I know Mike Evans is there. The NFL, my bud. Are you nuts? I'm looking at it right here. What, did breaking news all of a sudden just happen? Did ESPN all of a sudden break news and I don't know about it? Highly doubt that Tampa Bay is going to trade away their only good QB. Yeah, that's what I thought. I was going to say, it's got to be Evans that you're talking about. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that would have been the most shocking thing coming out of that, because I would have been like, well, who the fuck did Tampa Bay get in return? Did they get Jones, Purdy, McCaffrey? I mean, come on. Like I'm not that insane. I Jesus Christ. But yeah, I mean, realistically, the teams that I have in the Super Bowl next season, before this is a way too early prediction from me. If I had to pick two from each conference, I'm either gonna put my money on the Broncos or the Jaguars in the AFC. And then in the NFC, I'm gonna go with my gut, and I'm going to say either the Rams and probably the Eagles if they turn shit around there. So that's my prediction. You guys got any more questions? Keep them coming, honestly. I'm enjoying this. Wait a minute, what? This year's NFL... All right, hold on. We actually do have breaking news. This year's NFL schedule could be coming sometime between Tuesday, May 12th and Thursday, May 14th. All right, fucking perfect. Thought me with a good time. I would love to know our schedule so I can get tickets. So we can get tickets. So we can get tickets. All right, you guys got any more questions for me? Keep them coming. I love answering questions. Trust me. Just popped in to say hello. All right, buddy. Well, you have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your day. Hope your day's a good one. Wishing all my mad lads a good one. Thanks for tuning in, man. I really do appreciate it. Thank you for your question, by the way. All right, if we don't have any more questions, I think we're going to get out of here for the day. So, I will say this. This show has probably been one of the better shows that we've done since our return, even though we've only done 2. I kind of like this like free flow kind of form that we got, where we have an outline, but we can bounce around with it. You know what I mean? Like we have a bounce around kind of deal here, where we can go in between stuff to talk about and play different stuff. I like that we can do that now. It's gotta be one of my favorite things that we do now. But anyway, make sure you guys check out, of course, all the other podcasts that are here on the BW Radio Network, including the Wrestle Arc podcast that goes live every Monday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Check out the latest episode of the Wrestle Arc podcast. And, of course, check out the latest shorts made by Liam Warren discussing the WrestleMania cards for both Saturday and Sunday. Not only that, but make sure you folks check out BW Radio right here on the BW Radio Network every Wednesday at 8 p.m. or 8 a.m. Eastern Time right here on YouTube. And, of course, the RWO's War that goes live every other Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time right here on YouTube. That way you guys can check out the best fantasy wrestling booking of all time. We didn't do it this week because we're still missing a few GMs because they're either busy with work or some other stuff going on. So we weren't able to do the show this week. But I think we are officially going to dip for the day. So I want to thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. You all have been great. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. This has been BW Radio. And folks, I'm so happy that we now have the soundboard back because of one reason. And that, of course, is my good friend over here. Please let us out the traditional way that we used to. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been BW Radio, the #1 Syracuse Sports Radio right here on YouTube.